Welcome to Too Many Games, where the more you play, the more you win. I'm your host, Chuck. Back with us is Adam.
Hey, what's up?
Let's jump into it.
All right.
So, yeah, we didn't do an episode the other week, and it just kind of happens. So, but I did manage to get with my sister and do another video game movie. So, by the time we did Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within.
Oh, that was a hard blow at the time.
Right?
I haven't watched it in several years. I might appreciate it more now.
No,
At the time, oh, I was like,
snore.
oh yeah, Final Fantasy movie. This is gonna be great. This is gonna show all the people at school what Final Fantasy is all about. And man, that was not what I was expecting.
In a technical sense, it does show you all of what Final Fantasy is all about. When they write a Final Fantasy story, they typically plan for like 20, 30 hours at least. And a movie is 2 hours. So they kind of rushed a lot.
You know what? I always say this about anime, but I haven't done it with it yet. A lot of those movies that are made in Japan or just content in general usually gets ruined sometimes in translation and the dub. I kind of wonder if the sub is better. Maybe the sub is corny.
So I brought this up in the review, but during my research, they wanted this movie to be worldwide. And so the first thing they did was they designed it specifically to be English first, Japanese second.
Oh, then that's not
all of the producers and the director, they're Japanese. So basically they came up with the script, sent it to America, got some English script writer to rewrite it all in English and kind of like rework the wording because of languages, and then had their actors read the reworked script. They put that to the scenes, and then they send the scenes back to Japan for the producers to look over. But when they send it back, they have to dub it back into Japanese. And then the producers look over it, write out notes, and it keeps going like that. So yeah, I mean, the language gets really janky. And one of the big reveals is the American side, the ending was changed because the American producers felt that the big reveal was too Japanese. So they just cut it and didn't replace it with anything. So
did the ending not make sense?
Exactly. Like the ending is just like, okay, so all of that just happened. But with that extra little Japanese line, it's like, this is the reason why everything happened.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah.
But that sounds like something I might want to go listen to.
Yeah. So if you want to check that out, it's on our Spotify, iTunes, all of that. Video Booze, Final Fantasy Spirits Within. And, cordon off 3 hours of your time, because when we do those movie reviews, we put a lot into them.
That's a lot. But
like, because we go over the movie mostly, and then we have a lot of shit from behind the scenes of the games and the movie itself, and so it just gets to like 3 hours. You don't have to listen to it all at once. I mean, it's a piece by piece. Damn. So gamescom happened recently.
Yeah. What's the games? What's the gamescom?
It's a convention for video games, and it just I think it's put together by Jeff Keighley. So it's like he does Gamescom, and then he does the like Game of the Year award show. But
the only thing that it just hit me, they really should have picked a better name though. I'm pretty sure Gamecom was a terrible handheld system released by Tiger in the 90s.
Oh fuck. What was that thing called?
It was called Gamecom. it was a little handheld system that actually said Gamecom. I remember watching
Oh,
AVG, and
it was game.com. That's what it was called.
when you turned it on, it actually said Gamecom. It was hilarious.
So so at Gamescom, since we no longer have a PAX, we no longer have E3 because of the Corona pandemic, and E3 has just been going downhill for the last 10 years, basically.
Kind of, yeah. It has been pretty bad.
So Gamescom is the new thing, and so beginning of the summer, each of the industries will do their own show. So PlayStation will do their own show and Xbox will do their own show and stuff. And then Gamescom is like stuff that is going to come out within the near future, just kind of like build hype, and it'll be for all systems.
This is more like for independent developers, like Sega.
Yes and no. There's
They don't have a console anymore, so
right. So yeah, it's meant to be like kind of focusing on games for the next fiscal season, basically. And so we're just gonna like hit a couple of the highlights, specifically the games that I like, because shut up, it's my show.
yeah. I'm open to anything as long as it's not something that I notice it's going to be really bad.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
there's no. They've been doing pretty good lately, kind of. As far as hyping stuff up, they've been doing pretty good.
they've been good at hyping stuff up, and then they've been excellent at killing the hype by saying, "Oh yeah, that game that we told you was coming out next week, it's now 3 months from now."
Oh, you mean like Hogwarts Legacy?
Yeah, about
Yeah,
that.
I haven't told my wife about that yet, but she's already excited for that one as well.
I sit there waiting for the pre-orders because my niece is a big Harry Potter fan. It's like, oh man, they'll come out right around Christmas. I can do the pre-order for the collector's edition for it and everything. Now coming in March. Like,
yeah,
well, fuck you.
March is kind of, if I remember right, I think I think it was March. Horizon got pushed back to March for a while. I think it was originally. Remember it's already out, but last year Horizon was supposed to come out right before the Christmas, the holiday season.
Yeah,
and then it got pushed back. I think it was either February or March. It got pushed back.
It was originally going to be a console launch, and then it got pushed back to like February. Yeah, no, early March. It was early. It started into February, and then at the beginning of February, they pushed it back another week, pushing it into March. Yeah.
So it seems like it's a trend, which I mean, I kind of get. They got, especially with the coronavirus has been. I'm not sure how it's affecting them now, but a lot of games do get moved back because of that.
Yeah.
And I'd rather them release a working game than a broken game. So
it's just when you push it back like 4 or 5 times, it's like, come on, guys, just like kill the release date, just say holiday season or something until you get closer to launching it. But companies have to put a release date on it so that they could not just build hype for the game, but to, increase stock value for their investors. So
yeah, that's true.
But one of the standouts from Gamescom is we finally got actual Dead Island 2 footage and a release date.
Yeah, not a game I never played the first one. I have a friend of mine who played a lot of it, but I've heard good things about it.
But did you play Dying Light?
Yeah, I played the first Dying Light.
Yeah, so the developers of the first Dead Island went on to make Dying Light.
Really? So
they made the first version of Dead Island 2 until they sold off part of their studio because they were going bankrupt. And then another studio bought the Dead Island property. And they've been trying to basically, it started as trying to continue where it was left off. And then they decided to scrap the whole thing and start over. So now we're finally seeing a more complete version. And it's going to be coming out February 3rd.
I'm not sure. I think Dead Island was, like you said, it was like Dying Light. I'm not sure how that'll perform. If it's just like Dying Light, because
Well,
Dying Light
is similar to Dead Island. Dead Island was a lot more RPG focused, where you had to constantly upgrade your weapons, and your weapons had levels attached to them, and you'd have gear and shit. So there's a lot more of a like Dead Island was kind of like an indie version of Skyrim in a way.
Okay.
Dying Light was trying to take away majority of that RPG influence and make it more action oriented. So you still get some RPG elements, but it's really focused more on you actually doing things to upgrade than it is just like leveling up and then putting points places.
I didn't know anything about that.
Yeah.
I didn't know you level up your weapons. I thought all your weapons broke and stuff. Which is a big complaint for a lot of new games. A lot of them do the durability of weapons, and people complain about it. But again, getting way off topic, what else came out on Gamescom?
So, talking about some games coming back. Where is it? There it is. Lords of the Fallen is getting a remake, reboot, sequel.
Okay, I'm sorry. Wasn't that horrible?
Yes, it was.
Okay, I didn't play it. I just heard it was really bad, so I just left it alone.
I got it for free through the Games for Gold, and it bugged out on me on like the first boss, and I couldn't proceed, so I just gave up on it.
Well, so they're trying again.
Yeah, and it's.
What was the theme of the game?
Well, it's like Souls-like, but they wanted to actually make like it's like even more darker, even more gothic. Most of the classes you could pick were super heavy armor, so no matter what, you're like moving like a tank. Everything was like very meant to be like slow and like Methodist. Melodious, whatever. I'll cut that. Whatever. Fuck it. Melodic. Yes. And so it's like, you know, you have to time your rolls. You have to time your swings and stuff because everything takes like 2 to 3 seconds. So it's less about just like constantly attacking and more about attacking at that precise window you need to attack.
So they tried to make a better Dark Souls.
Yes. As an indie studio on a rush, and it became buggy as fuck.
I mean, not that I've heard Elden Ring had a bunch of bugs too, but when we're going, we'll just mention companies that, you know, their strategy kind of lasts the test of time. Dark Souls has been rolling for what, 20 years now, at least, and they haven't changed a damn thing about their games except they made one that was open world. It's really, and they don't get stale. I'm not even a big fan of the Soul series, but if I pick one up, especially if I have a friend to play with, you can get into it. I mean, it's hard. You got to be okay with the difficulty, and just know you're going to be having a rough time, but it's still enjoyable. I don't know why a company would try to, instead of piggyback on that, it sounds like they try to make it better, and it just didn't go well.
Pretty much. And not only did it not go well, it became notoriously one of the bad Souls clones. And so how they got money and they're trying to do it again, I'll not know that.
Maybe they just lost so much money they have to try it again.
When you lose that much money trying one thing, you typically try something new, or at least like do say a sequel and be like, look, we're fixing all the things that were problematic in the first one. You don't just reboot it again.
I'm pretty sure I can find an example of that, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure it's a bad game that's done that though.
Cough, cough. Sonic Frontiers is coming too.
I have hope. I have hope, but at the same time, the idea, at least from the look of it, looks like a Breath of the Wild Sonic. But when you really think about it, and you think about all what Sonic is, loop to loops and being fast, you also wonder how that's got to play in an open world. And
well, like, Zelda, it works because Zelda's an adventure game. So part of the adventure is like, looking out over the landscape and going to make your own kind of fun and stuff. The Sonic is pretty much kind of like a racing game in a way, where it's not really
the whole
meant to be
the whole thing
exploratory.
was Mario was slow. They made the concept that Mario was slow. It's a slow game. They wanted you to have something that was fast and felt like you were exhilarating.
So Sonic Frontiers will be out November 8th for now until it's pushed back again. But
yeah, I'm about to say that's a good date. That's a good date, right? Right?
I mean, 3 months from now, about that. Yeah. And let's see, Gotham Knights came out with a new trailer showcasing some boss fights. They also announced that their new release date will be October 21st, which is a couple days ahead of their original. It's like a week ahead of what they pushed it back to last time.
I'm very much looking forward to that, though. Apparently it's going to be a continuation of like the Arkham City series.
Yeah.
Except it isn't, because
it looks like it, but they said the story is not part of the Arkham universe.
No, it's not. It just plays like because obviously you have Batgirl who's not paralyzed.
Yeah, the Arkhamverse will continue in Suicide Squad versus the Justice League, which that one was pushed to next year's fall. So a couple of new games got shown off. One called Where the Winds Meet, which is going to be like Ghost of Tsushima, but in China.
I haven't played that one, but I have heard of it.
That'd be really cool. Like, there's some gameplay footage of it, and there's like, do you remember the movie Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon?
I know of it. I haven't seen it. I'm not very.
They were like, whenever they would fight, they'd like kind of float around on, it's like wire work and shit.
Yeah, it was very very big on that.
So this game, you can do that. Like the game showcase, like he's paddling a boat out to the lake or whatever to take down an army ship, and whenever he reaches the ship, it then cuts to him like literally flying around the ship like as if he was on those wire rigs and shooting like fire arrows into it. It's pretty cool. Don't know how it's actually going to play, but it does look cool. There's a game called Lies of P, which is another Souls-like kind of game, but it's kind of how'd you put it? It's like steampunky clockwork stuff. So you're mostly like fighting clockwork puppets, and your right arm is like a clockwork arm, and you can like put different attachments on it and shit.
Okay. Yeah. And this is gonna be like again like the Souls games?
Yeah. Yeah. The gameplay kind of showed it off as if it'd be like the Souls stuff.
Too many Souls clones.
Yeah, but I mean it's popular, especially after Elden Ring.
Yeah.
And then here's another Souls like. We got footage of Wo Long Fallen Dynasty, which is it's kind of the story of Romance of the Three Kingdoms from Chinese history. It's the same story that Dynasty Warriors has been telling over and over again for I think 16 iterations now.
Wow.
But this one is kind of like mixing Romance of the Three Kingdoms with Neo. So it's like really dark and magical and stuff. But it looks like you could take control of like the different generals and stuff as if, like all the generals you would know from Dynasty Warriors would be in this. And it looks like you could play as them. So yeah, we got a lot of Soulsborne type games coming out. We also got a Dune MMO coming out.
Oh, well, I know someone's gonna be excited for that.
This one was just like a CGI teaser. It's not going to be it. They didn't have any gameplay, but it's from the same team that did Conan Exiles, like survival MMO.
So it's gonna be one of those type of games.
Yeah. A game coming out that looks amazing. Warhammer 40K Darktide should be out in the next month or two. Fucking excited for that because that's like the Vermintide games and Left 4 Dead and stuff, but in the 40K universe.
Vermintide 2 was pretty fun.
Yeah,
that would anything with Warhammer, they're really good. I haven't had a complaint with any of their games. We actually just picked up Warhammer 3. We're gonna be playing that soon. It's a good company, good reliable. Should be a good game. Hopefully.
I like Warhammer, but I like their 40K universe a lot more. The like super sci-fi shit has always appealed to me a lot more than their fantasy medieval time shit.
Yeah,
and all of their 40K games, it's like 9 out of 10 of them are just complete garbage that barely run. So Darktide actually looks like it will run properly, and it's in a gameplay mechanic that I like playing.
Yeah, and hopefully they don't. I mean, I can't see them ruining it, but you never know. It's really, I mean, that's actually another company's actually running 2 games that are similar in the same, kind of the same. They're technically the same universe. It's just one is in the future. I'm sure they play off that as well.
Yeah. And lastly, what I want to talk about is a game that is causing weird strife online. Like it's just weird. High on Life, which is being developed by a studio working with Justin Roiland from Rick and Morty, and has him voicing a lot of the roles and stuff.
You know what? I did hear about that. It sounds. I thought it sounded really good.
Yeah,
it has the scene I saw was crazy though, if I remember right.
There's like a bunch of different clips, and it looks like it's just going to be stupid, fun first-person game. Like it's not going to be anything too crazy. Like if you like Rick and Morty, if you like whatever their Hulu show is, it's going to be that kind of comedy writing. If you don't like it, you're not going to like this. And but people are calling it like cringe and stuff, and it's like it's not though. It's like in line with their other jokes.
Yeah. So, looking forward to see what Sonic does next.
Right.
That's my biggest one, probably Sonic. I would love to see if they screw that up.
Well, I mean, previously my biggest game of the year was going to be Hogwarts Legacy, but because I want to see what they do with the Harry Potter universe. We haven't seen a good Harry Potter game since like fucking PS2 era.
I mean,
that was pushed to next
Lego
year.
Harry Potter, man. Come on.
That was like 360.
Yeah, it wasn't that, it was okay.
So, but so now, I mean, Sonic Frontiers, it looks good and all, but now I'm more excited for Gotham Knights to come out. So I wanted to
Yeah.
see what that's about.
I mean, we had a lot of stuff come out this year that uh whereas last year wasn't as good of a year for video games. I feel like this year's gonna be a lot better. At least for
It,
releases. If they actually, I'm pretty sure Elden Ring came out this year. They've already named it Game of the
yeah.
Year. So um
As far as quality throughout the year, yes, but we can't avoid saying that this year has had a very deliberate, like 3 month dead zone where nothing was coming out, nothing good came out.
and now everything's coming out.
Yeah,
So
I mean, Broketober is about to earn its name back.
oh yeah, it's gonna be a big couple of months.
So, but one game that did come out this year and very recently is Way of the Hunter, which is a new hunting sim. Um, we are planning on doing this a little bit differently because I've been playing Way of the Hunter pretty decently this last week, and then you have what, over 100 hours in the Hunter Call of the Wild.
No, I have over 1,900 hours in Call of the Wild.
Well, I'm not wrong, am I? It's over 100.
It's been a ridiculous amount of time, and I'll admit some of that time is me. And that's something we'll actually get into comparison. Some of it is me just actually sitting on some maps and just letting it spawn. So not all that time was me actually playing, but a lot of it was. It was crazy. I think I spent a good bit, probably about 2 years actually playing the game. Very frequently. I don't play as much as I used to.
Yeah.
So much stuff has come out, but yeah, I've played a lot of that, and then you see Way the Hunter come out, and it was very enticing, looks very beautiful.
So we'll do things a little bit differently. Instead of like I'm talking about one game, he's talking about one game. We're gonna both kind of talk about both of these games and compare, contrast what it is, because they're basically the same game, right? Like super hardcore hunting sims.
Yeah, I think they both in their core take it a little differently though.
Yeah.
What it and you're gonna see the big difference. Anybody else that reviews these games, Call of the Wild is more looked at as an arcade shooter because of you can just shoot it as crazy as you want and actually make these crazy shots. Whereas Way of the Hunter is trying to be more realistic with its shots. You have to be very careful where you shoot them, because if you don't, even though you catch long, you might be chasing them for a while.
Yeah. So for starters, I just want to say my approach to this was obviously vastly different because I don't have 2,000 hours in these games. But I've been playing World of Warcraft pretty hard this last like month and a half, getting ready for the next expansion. So I've been kind of like tired of a lot of games, and then Way of the Hunter just kind of like launches, and to me it's kind of like a quiet launch where this was nowhere on my radar. I had never even heard of this game, and then all of a sudden people are playing it on Twitch. It's like, I could go for some kind of like sim game where I'm just like chilled out and hunting.
Yeah, they
And
didn't push it very hard. I didn't even hear about it until a month or two ago. It I have no idea where this game was the whole time, where they were when they could have been advertising it, but it it got popular really fast.
So yeah, I mean, I picked it up, I started playing it. It's like, I like a lot of things they do with this, because it does take that more chilled approach where you're more thinking about like learning the animal habits and making sure you have the right gun before you leave the cabin, and you're not just running down to the creek to shoot a deer, because then you spook them all off and shit. So it's like it forces you to like slow down and like actually plan shit out. And so I was enjoying that. And when I expressed my joy, Josh was like, "It sucks. You should play Call of the Wild instead."
And the reason he said is valid in some respect, except he so if we want to start with that, we can start with that. So what he was really, his first complaint was that you get anywhere near the animal, that son of a bitch runs. And you know what? It kind of does. But there is the thing is that there's a reason. The reason it just takes off and runs like that is known as the spook meter, whatever.
Yeah.
Call of the Wild has something similar. You can get closer, but the way Call of the Wild is done, it's done by difficulty. It's very Way of the Hunter is a lot more straightforward when it comes to their difficulty. Way of the Hunter has 5 stars. They as they mature, they they have a potential to get up to however many stars they do before they die. You can also thin the herd, kind of. I think that's how they do
culling.
it. Call of the Wild doesn't have that, unfortunately. Well, we've always actually asked for that feature, and we have not yet got to where bucks can basically mature. Instead, what happens is they have a difficulty setting depending on what animal it is. Like if it's a whitetail, you can get 1 to 3 difficulty, 3 being basically a 5-star. In Call of the Wild, they have a rating system from bronze to diamond. And if you find a diamond, like the whole challenge is finding the diamonds. You want to find the diamonds. You can't get close to them like you can the other ones. Like if you get, you'll spook them just about as easy as you would in the Way of the Hunter. Just not, you won't even know it. Like they don't make sound. Way of the Hunter, you actually have like animal sounds. You can see where they are. You don't have that in Call of the Wild.
When Josh said Way of the Hunter sucks, you should play Call of the Wild, I did install Call of the Wild because I got it through Epic Game Stores when they did their free game one time. And so I played like maybe an hour and a half of it, and they have markers where like the deer are doing a call, and you can like see it to like give you a direction, but that's about it. It's like they're calling from this direction. It's not like they're 200 meters out this way or anything,
And I'll tell you what, I'm getting. It's really hard because we haven't really explained much of it. I'm going to kind of give it my rundown of basically what the differences of that I like and don't like. Call of the Wild is what it basically comes down to is you're out there to fill your trophy lodge. Now, trophy lodges didn't come out at launch. They had to the different patch that come out. They've also come out with dogs and all the other kind of stuff. I don't want to bring that up in the actual comparison though, because Way of the Hunter just came out. They may have dogs and stuff later, but not gonna judge them on that. So start out with a hunt. Like you said, you start out, you get your guns, you head out and go try to find something. Animals have drink times. Both games have that. Drink times, feed times, and rest zones. They all have it. It's exactly the same. It's kind of the what's the word? The formula is now. It's always gonna just be, this time they're gonna be here, this time they're gonna be there, and they have need zones. These need zones are how you can determine where they're gonna be. The difference between Call of the Wild and the Hunter is that the Hunter's need zones seem to be static, which means that if I get on your game, if I play my game and I find a need zone at this point of the river, and then I go and join your game in multiplayer, I know that need zone is going to be there all the time. And that kind of sounds good in theory, because it makes it easier to know that that's where they're always going to be at this time. Like you can always you can go to a bed, reset the time to 9 a.m., head over to this one spot by the river, and you're always going to find the deer there. You're always going to find the same herd. And it lets you cull them, lets you, get that 5-star. Call of the Wild's meat zones are completely random. The nice part about that is that you're always going to have a randomized game. You could play your map for 50 hours, know every need zone on the map, know where you can have packs of deer that do visit the same need zones. You can track them, and then you could go join somebody else's map online, and all of a sudden the map is completely different. You kind of know the zone, the kind of the areas of the map where they're going to be, but it's not as predictable at all, and you never know what you're going to find. You go a lot of there's Flinter is a really big streamer, and he joins multiplayer maps all the time, actually looking for diamonds. He finds them. Your map may not have anything good. You may get feel like you're in a rut, join somebody else's and end up taking a diamond off their map. It happens a lot, and it just kind of gives that unpredictability. When it comes to actually hunting, Call of the Wild lets you take out, they have a weight system where you can carry up to like 20 pounds of weight without any modifications. You actually have a talent system where you level up and you can put talents in. You can increase your weight, you can increase the way you shoot. Way of the Hunters, their stuff is you can only carry 2 guns, I believe, 3 collars, and binoculars. Like there's some equipment you can carry, but it's not a lot. Like you have to really pick out your hunt before you go. And their talent system is basically you unlock it and you have it. There is no picking the talents, it just gives it to you.
Yeah.
A lot of things
They're more perks than talents, where you do something long enough, it just upgrades.
Yeah, it kind of gives you that. A lot of stuff from Call of the Wild is actually just giving you straight out on the Way of the Hunter. When you aim your gun and you use hunter sense on a deer while you're aiming, it'll tell you how far away it is, so you can zero in on it, just no problem. Makes it real easy in that regard. However, when you take the shot, a big thing about me that I really look forward to Way of the Hunter, the graphics are insane. It looks amazing. The kill cam is amazing. You get to see where the bullet traveled. You have to worry about ballistics. You got to worry about the force. You got to worry about the type of ammo you use, if it's going to carry through, if you're going to hit a bone or not. There's a lot of different things that go into it. Where Call of the Wild, you take a shot, and if you hit a major organ, you're going to kill it. It's going to die. It's going to die. I'm not sure if that's true in the Hunter. You may be able to hit a lung, and I'm sure it's going to die, but it's probably going to run for a long time.
Yes.
Which,
yeah, I've done one where it's like I hit it in the stomach, and even though it was have a medium bleed, it still ran quite like almost 100 yards. It's so fucking stupid.
Watching streams, some people have been like, wow, this tracking, because when you track on Call of the Wild, you actually can pick that animal. It's going to show its tracks. It's going to show the blood. It's going to highlight a certain color depending on what you set the color to. That makes it so that you can always track that animal, and you can follow the bloodstream fairly easy. Now, when dogs come out, it makes it even dumber, because you can tell the dog to track the blood. It'll actually you just follow the dog. You don't have to even look at the ground at that point. It's the dog is really made tracking easier, which you may think, well, that makes it broken. That's actually kind of what happens in hunting. you bring dogs out, you're doing it so you don't have to follow blood or lose your deer. You're going to track it. Which Way the Hunter kind of gets more realistic because the blood is not highlighted hardly at all. It's really hard to see. It can go on you got to follow the direction of it to see what the next spot is. If you lose it, you got to backtrack. And while some people think it's really cool to spend 30 minutes tracking a deer that you shot, doing that every time you shoot an animal, it's tedious. I gotta say that's one thing I really hope they change. Like, as far as
So
complaints with Way the Hunter, it's mainly the need zone thing. I wish they would make it so that it's random, but also you don't want to have to track every animal you shoot. Like, it basically comes down to aiming for the heart and doing a heart shot every time. That way they don't run. They're just gonna drop where they are. Um,
um so I want to jump on this one. I do not like how they do it in Call of the Wild because it's stupid easy. Like, you look at tracks, it basically gives you an arrow of which way the tracks are going. You look at blood, and all of a sudden it highlights the blood trail. I mean, I was tracking a deer. I didn't even have to look down because there's these bright white spots leading into the woods and
yep.
stuff.
And
I
that's
did
kind of
not
the thing.
like that. Way of the
Well,
Hunter, when you use hunter sense, the things that need to glow in a golden color, and makes it hard to see in sunlight and stuff. So I wish they could let us change to a different color. But other than that, I like the fact that it's not telling us like, oh, went this direction and stuff. You actually have to know, like, from the blood splatter that it's headed in that direction, you know?
and I understand that. I guess when it comes, that's why I say it's more realistic simulator.
Yeah.
It's a different feeling. Like, the feeling you get for Call of the Wild, the joy is not in tracking the deer, it's in finding it and sneaking up on it and getting that shot that you need.
Yeah.
Because like, just like, again, how you can cull herds and The Way of the Hunter, you get that 5-star. It's like, it's a different feeling when you get it all the way. You're basically culling a herd, you're growing a deer, you get one that's finally like a 3-star young buck, and then you get him all the way to a 5-star. It's going to be good. You finally sneak up on him, you take that shot, and you're tracking him. The anticipation building. Well, Call the Wild, you don't know any of that's coming. All of a sudden you're going through, you look and you see the animal, and you're like, holy, I got to get this shot. You get your shot in, and if you get a good shot, it is easy to follow the blood trail. It's going to fall down pretty quick. But if you and it may be intentional, it could be a glitch. If you shoot one in a herd and you do hit stomach and they all run together, the other tracks of the other animals will actually blot out your blood trail, and you cannot follow it. You have to basically guess at that point. I found the blood trail again by following where all the tracks went, and just happened to follow it again. But I think it's a glitch where if there's too many tracks on that area, your blood trail disappears. So, and I don't think that's a good thing. I'm not bragging that it makes Call of the Wild harder. But there has been instances where I've lost animals before just because I couldn't follow the blood trail. It's always better, really, to just drop them with a heart shot. And they do push that in The Way of the Hunter, where you actually want to make an ethical shot rather than just shooting willy-nilly at anything that moves.
Yeah.
So in that respect, it is more responsible from a real life perspective.
Yeah, and I do know one of the release game glitches is disappearing blood trails for Way of the Hunter, and there's a big forum post about it where you'll just be following a blood trail and then it disappears. So I mean, they're working on it. I just wish it was a different color. Like, I mean, I've grown up with like very mild color blindness as such, and so it's like picking out very specific color ranges is really hard. In this whole gold highlights on yellow grass does not help.
Yeah.
But I do like, I mean, I don't know how far Josh got into it before he said it's stupid, but it's like when you first start, if you're sprinting, you could spook animals from like 400 meters away. If you're just walking, they spook at about 300 meters. Maybe do 250 to 275 if you're crouching. And so there's a dedicated walk button to, and it's very slow and tedious to get everywhere, but that's where you like go to set up your shot. But then the more time you're playing the game, the more you're unlocking the perk. So it's like if you do 200 meters walking upright, then all of a sudden you unlock a perk that is like 15% quieter or 15% less noticeable while walking upright. And same with crouching and stuff. Where it sucks is with crouching, it'll start with 15% quieter while crouch walking, 15% less noticeable while crouch walking. And then the third perk would be 50% faster and 10% louder. It's like, I don't want that.
And you can't turn it off.
No.
That could be frustrating. I can see that. So as far as spooking, if there's 300 meters away, you can basically do whatever you want in Call of the Wild. You can run. When you get to about 200 meters, you want to stop and start walking. When I get to about 150, I start crouching and start walking in. They do hear you, but one of the differences that Call of the Wild has that the way the Hunter doesn't, it actually has a little meter at the bottom that shows you how visible you are and how much noise you're making. Yeah. So that kind of helps you sneak up on them. But
the other thing that is unclear if it's a bug or working as intended, just because sometimes extreme realism sucks. You can get like almost 225 meters to deer if you're in your Jeep.
Yeah,
like you could pretty much drive right up on them and then get out. As long as you don't start walking away from the Jeep, they won't spook. So if you just get out and pull out your gun,
that's a huge difference too, man. That's got to be a bug because when you get on the four-wheelers and Call of the Wild, anything within 500 meters that you can't even see is gone. When you get off that four-wheeler, you can rest assured there is nothing around you. There is one thing I mean I will give the way the Hunter that Call of the Wild, one big difference is that I did mention need zones. Now, if you walk up and you spook animals in Call of the Wild and you know they're at that need zone, you can hunker down. You can hunker down and wait, and they'll be back. Like they'll actually come back to that need zone. The way the Hunter, from what I've seen, they don't actually do that. They'll actually stay away for quite a while, which again, it really looks the way you want to look at it, though. Do you want something that is hyper realistic that eats up your time for you to get very many, deer down, or do you want something that you can get more shots in and have more of a productive day, so to speak? It really comes down to different mindset. I think I really believe that they're two outlooks on it, and the way the Hunter's got a lot of stuff going for it, I just hope they just make some changes, because I have a feeling that Call of the Wild, obviously, it's been around for six years now. It's a really old game. They really need to redo the engine, but it's so popular that it hasn't died. We know it hasn't died. It's not going to. But Way of the Hunter, I'm just worried it's going to just kind of fade into obscurity in the next year or so if they don't bring out good DLC.
They don't put any money into advertising. Yeah.
To be fair, Call of the Wild didn't advertise either. It's not a really big market for advertising. Who's gonna? There's a very, very closed market for who play hunting games. I don't feel
Well,
like
you would think there would be a very closed market for like farming simulator, but apparently like a lot of people jammed on that. Like, it's
anything
one of the best
simulator, dude.
simulators.
Any simulator. I'm good. Me and Josh play Power Wash Simulator. You think, well, that's stupid. Nah, man. It's so like if I'm going like if I know I don't have a whole lot of time and we want to play a game and I'm going to bed soon, I'll play Power Wash Simulator just to get ready to go to bed. It's so relaxing. So I could see Farming Simulator, and a bunch of them being fun. I would love to actually do a co-op play with some more people with that at one point. I'm sure it gets into a lot of fun.
I have noticed like, okay, you're in Way of the Hunter. You're going for mule deer. So you go out in the woods, you find all the spots where mule deer are, and there'll be spots on the ground where it's like, oh, this is their feeding area, and it'll say like feeding rarely or feeding often and stuff. And then that, if you go into like your encyclopedia, it would be like, you go under mule deer, and it's like they feed every day at 9 a.m. and 8 p.m. So it's like, okay, so if they feed here often, I'll be here at 9 a.m. and they should be here. Well, for every area of influence for that herd, there could be like 4 different feeding spots and 3 different drinking spots. And it's just one is considered often, one is considered like very often, and one is considered rarely. So if you have the if you do something like spook them off of a feeding spot and you start like trying to like reset the day to go back there and they're still not showing up and stuff, that's just they've moved to one of their other feeding spots and you have to go over to that one instead.
And that does happen in Call of the Wild as well. I actually haven't. It's just possible. I just haven't noticed that.
Yeah,
I haven't seen. I bet not a lot of. I mean, it's been out for what, a week now.
Yeah.
So there's probably still a lot of stuff to still be found on it.
I mean, I'm stuck on this one spot where I have to get a 2-star moose, and everywhere I go, I see a bunch of 1-star moose, and so it's like, okay, well, I'll mark this area and like try to grow it into a 2-star moose, but then it gets to a 2-star moose and I shoot it and it gets away because I didn't shoot it right, because the organs are completely different than on a deer. And so it's like, fine, I'll just like reset it and try to track it again and stuff. And then like I don't see any moose in the area, and I've been like fast forwarding like weeks at a time, and there's no moose around. And then I finally see moose again, and they're back down to 1-star because how the animals work is they actually grow day by day. So they'll start as like a young moose and then grow into an adult and then mature and stuff. And then they spend a little bit extra time as mature, and then they die of old age, and it resets that pack. So if you speed ahead too far, then you're just resetting the entire herd.
Yeah. Well, me and Josh do plan on taking you to do a couple of hunting trips on Call of the Wild. It's been out a lot longer. There are a lot more different places you can go hunting. So depending on what you choose to go do, a lot of choices. But I think both games are good in their own respect. I think it's for 2 different types of players.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens, because I'm just a little bit concerned if it's going to fall out or not, but we'll see.
You prefer Call of the Wild over Way of the Hunter?
Yeah, for now, mostly because it's more fundamentally sound. I think they have a lot of bugs to work out. Like you said, if they would fix people tracking the animals, being able to see it better, and just make it less tedious. Yeah, I think I could go for it, but there's going to be a a couple of things that they need to change. And the best thing though is that every genre needs competition or it becomes stagnant. I always say that like WWE is a really good example of that. As a company, they have no competition, so they just kind of just did whatever they wanted, kind of became stagnant. You add competition to it, you end up making you get better stuff if they think they have to actually work for it. So let's hope that this makes both games work better. So the fact that they're going to be competing against one another.
Well, so I'm gonna kind of like go over a couple things that I didn't like during my playthrough of Way of the Hunter. One, there's quests. Like you go to like a camping spot, and it's like it gives you a quest like, oh, the mule deer here are too many. You need to cull the herd, and so it gives you a quest. It's like kill 5 adult bucks with 2 stars, and they have to have like a 40% fitness rating.
Yeah.
So then you're like tediously trying to find these, but you're also like doing multiple other quests. Quests do not passively track. So say you have the quest active for like killing 5 ducks, but you see the mule deer that you need. You kill the mule deer, you go to harvest it. It doesn't count on your quest tracker unless you activate the quest.
You're kidding me.
The fuck? Like it'll come up with a warning that's like this animal actually counts for a different quest. Would you like to continue? And it doesn't. No part in the game does it fully tell you you can only have one quest active, and whatever you do with that quest active, like doesn't affect the other quests.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. I was gonna say like that's no different. Call of the Wild's got some really horrible quests too. They're really tedious. They're really time consuming. But what are you gonna do with a hunting game? I mean, they're just gonna tell you to go kill certain things. That's the only thing they can really give you for a quest. But not having them count at the same time, that just sounds just very, very poor management.
But it's programmed in there for things to count at the same time, like the perk system. To upgrade the perk system, it will count multiple categories at the same time as your quest that's active. So it's like you guys already have this program. Why do I have to sit there and keep like swapping what's my active quest? They're in my quest log. They're obviously acknowledged on my character. Why can't they just passively track whatever I'm doing instead of me having to sit there and activate the quest before I collect the deer?
Yeah, that needs to be patched. That's going to cause problems that I can see. But then again, once you're done with the quest, you're done with the quest. I mean,
yeah,
I'm sure it earns kind of reward. The Call of the Wild quest, usually once you finish all of it for a certain zone, you get a free weapon, whereas you usually have to buy them.
I don't know about like all of the zone or anything. I know Way of the Hunter, it's like both games are massive hunting areas. Way of the Hunter does it where you have 2 massive maps, one in America, one in Europe. The Europe one unlocks once you're a decent ways into the story. But say you start at one cabin, and so you are free to hunt within a certain area attached to this cabin. So to unlock a hunting license in an area around a different cabin, you either have to pay like $40,000 for the hunting license, or you could drive up to the cabin and start a quest chain. Once you finish the entire quest chain, it gives you the hunting permit.
Okay, so you don't have to buy them. That's
right.
That's kind of cool.
One of the things I hope they add is a kind of like a weight feature. You know, kind of like how Fallout has, or Metal Gear Solid 5 and stuff.
Yeah, Call of the Wild has the weight feature where you can, and the way that works is that the more weight you carry, you just make more noise. So,
I don't mean weight as in stuff you're carrying. I mean weight as in sitting at a designated time and just speeding up time.
Oh, that's
like
going to be highly doubtful. But yeah, I mean, unless one of the other, like, that would be a step that no other game, like a lot of stuff they did copy from Call of the Wild.
I mean, if you're actually out there hunting, you're going to say, an area with deer. Well, you're going to wake up really early. You're going to post yourself up under a tree, and you're going to wait. And while it's realistic to sit there and wait real time, this is a game. That is something that
very
can
true.
lose a little bit
I
of
never,
realism,
you
where
know,
you can
they
just.
could have. While I don't see them letting you just wait anywhere, they should allow you to have the option to wait inside the stands. That makes complete sense.
Yeah, something like that, instead of like walking all the way to a fire pit and then waiting and then walking all the way back to the area. It just adds to the tedium, and like that is one of the realism things that get toned down on. There's no active restocking of ammo. You notice that?
No, you don't have to buy it. You just get it.
You don't.
Whenever.
You don't have to buy it. You don't have to equip it. Just whatever gun you have, it automatically loads you up. And then say you go out into the wild and stuff, you shoot a bunch of deer, whatever, your gun runs dry. At no point do they tell you how to restock your ammo. You have to like fast travel back to the cabin, go to your gun safe, and just by opening up the inventory within the gun safe and closing, it restocks the ammo.
Yeah. That's kind of lazy.
Yeah, I don't like that.
You just buy your ammo and Call the Wild. You just carry as much as you want.
Also, the quests and the gaming structure uses the term harvest. So whenever you kill a deer or whatever, it's like go harvest the animal and stuff. Well, whenever you open the menu on the deer, you get the option to sell or to taxidermy it. And
both.
It's, for the longest time, I was like, well, what does it mean by harvesting? Does it mean just selling? Does it mean just taxidermy? Like, there's no clear explanation that harvesting means both. And the thing that I was getting hung up on was the fact that I didn't have the proper quest active when I was hunting the deer. But harvesting, like selling and taxidermy, means harvesting. Just collecting the deer is harvesting. You just have to make sure you're on the right quest when you kill the deer. I think it would have been like cooler if they took it that extra step where, I mean, the waiting could be a way they could tone down realism, but like collecting the deer, they could turn it up. Like you actually have to carry the deer back to your Jeep or something, instead of like it just disappearing and you could keep hunting.
Which, again, that's something that Call of the Wild does, so it's no different. The difference with Call of the Wild is, though, if you kill a deer and you decide to taxiderm it, you still get paid for it. You always get money based on your kill, regardless what it is. And technically, I think you get more money. I've noticed that they really don't give you a whole lot for Way of the Hunter. So,
I don't know. I mean, Way of the Hunter, especially when you're like fulfilling quests and stuff, like the money could just kind of like stack up and you not notice it because you're not actively constantly like buying ammo and stuff. You're not keeping track of the money. So, you go, you kill a bunch of deer and stuff, and then you go back. It's like, well, I want to see the gun stock again. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, where did I get $40,000?
Yeah.
Also, there's no vaulting. Like there's no climbing up or anything like that. That is a programming error I do not abide by in this day and age. Like, there is no reason that you cannot program climbing up a rock. Like, I'm not talking about like an entire cliff face or anything, but a knee-high rock that is just tall enough that you can't just jump on. You can't program a way that your character just kind of like picks himself up onto it.
Yeah.
I have lost so many deer
Yeah.
because I was tracking it and I jumped down from one rock and got stuck between two rocks and I couldn't vault and it was too high for me to jump out of. So I was just stuck between these two rocks. So I had to fast travel out of it and I completely lost the deer.
Wow. That's hard.
I mean, I also would have liked like more ambient wildlife. You know, they have a large selection. There's the deer, there's moose, elk, goats, bears, ducks, but it's like, you know,
What do you
they're
mean ambient? You mean like the
like
pheasants?
squirrels, like,
Oh.
you know,
They
fucking
do have rabbits, don't
jaybirds.
they? They have
No,
rabbits.
not in Way of the Hunter.
They got
In
pheasants.
Call of the Wild, there's rabbits.
Oh,
But
I was about to say, yeah, there's rabbits and there's all kinds of stuff you can shoot and Call of the Wild that's little.
um, but I'm just thinking of stuff that definitely lives in a forest, but wouldn't necessarily be on a hunting license, you know? Just something to bring more life to the world, you know?
Oh, yeah, well, Call of the Wild does have a few birds that aren't counted as anything. They just, when you're walking around, you see them fly up. They kind of represent that wildlife. You Josh would shoot them. You don't get anything for it, but you can still shoot them and they'll just fall. You just fall to the ground. They just don't count. But yeah, definitely they should include other stuff. But a lot of the things that are in the wild, you are supposed to be able to hunt them. Like I would love a squirrel hunting. That would be great.
And my last point is like there's no dynamics to the wildlife. Like there's the whole like you can like grow the herd, grow the 5-star buck and stuff, but there's no like you're not going to come across like bucks fighting for dominance within the herd. There's no like bears taking down a deer or
No, not yet.
A goat knocking you in the nuts.
That's something else. Oh, they not attack you in that game?
No, not in Way of the Hunter.
Really? Yeah. Some of our funniest things we've been.
Hey, there's people like you can watch some streams. There's people who will literally drive a Jeep up to a bear and park the Jeep right in front of the bear and get out. And when you spook the bear, it tries to run forward and it just gets stuck on the Jeep.
That's horrible, man. We've recently me and Josh were playing Call of the Wild. We were in Mississippi, and he loves hunting the gators, and he saw like we got a little warning call, like we knew they were over there. I just walked up to the water, and I didn't see it. He saw the gator come out of the water and just take me out. I mean, I didn't know what happened. I just saw this thing come up. I pulled my gun out and I was dead. And he said he literally just watched the gator take me, and he shot it. He killed it, but it was too late for me.
But
we had bears chase after us. One of the things that we used to, when we very first started playing the game together, we used to you can hunt river buffalo, and they'll literally just charge you, and you have to just kind of kite them around and dodge them. And we were just filling them full of shots. That's how we actually got a lot of our first money. We didn't even really, they weren't ethical kills because we shot them about 17 different times, so we didn't get any like points or anything. You still got the money, and we got a lot of money from just trying to kill buffalo as they just kept knocking us out because they just would spear you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like a lot of this is frustrating because Red Dead Redemption 2 did it better.
Yeah,
they have the dynamic wildlife. They have extensive ambient wildlife. I like with the hunter for like tracking the animal. Like I like the way you track animals in both of these other games than in Red Dead Redemption 2. I did not like the whole like smell
I
the
think the
scent
way the
tracking.
Red Dead Redemption, what was so good about it is that, like it's what you said about harvesting. There was more to it than just shooting the
Yeah.
animal and getting money. You actually had to pack it in the back of a wagon and bring it back to town or whatever.
But I
And
mean, Red Dead Redemption 2, you had to find where the animal lived. You had to track it down in a way that doesn't spook it. You had to get the perfect shot on it, otherwise you're tracking a trail through the woods. And then whenever you finally find it, you either have to carry the entire body back or you harvest it on the spot and bring the materials back with you.
yeah,
And they did it so much better. And for a game to come out in 2022 to be like, this is a realistic hunting simulator, I'm expecting that kind of stuff, like taking that concept and like expanding on it to be even more realistic. And the fact that they didn't is very frustrating.
no, they didn't.
Um,
um, it's they both have imperfections. Hopefully, one of them works it out.
yeah.
As far
I
as it
mean,
goes, I'm still happy. I'm still happy with Call of the Wild. It's still, even though it has its imperfections, there are things that are a little bit annoying. It's still fun. It's not something I play all the time anymore. I know, like I said, like Flinter makes videos on this almost every day or a week or whatever. Like he's constantly doing it. He's been doing it for years. I couldn't play the game that long. I would get bored eventually.
yeah.
So
I mean, when my short time with Call of the Wild, like the way the menu prompts are set up, the way everything is just kind of like in your face of where all the animals are and stuff, it made me feel like a Ubisoft game or something, like I was playing a Far Cry mod.
huh,
um Way of the Hunter, I like it for more of its like toned down stuff, but I do wish that there was more to it to get it a little bit more livelier, closer to Call of the Wild, because
yeah.
there's a lot of dead time in Way of the Hunter.
And there's a lot of dead time in Call of the Wild as well. Don't get me wrong. I've waited. Another thing I've noticed that Call of the Wild, like you have to spawn the map. Um, yeah,
Yeah. Also, I feel like it's weird that um in Way of the Hunter you could buy collars, so like you could get a deer collar, but and again, this is another thing that it's not explicitly told. You have to like dig through the menus to find this. When you buy a collar, it has 3 different levels to it based on what animals you could call. It's like level 1 you could call doe, level 2 you could call like young bucks,
oh,
level
that's
3 you
cool.
could call like 5-star bucks.
So you can
But
actually tune it to what you want. That's
right,
a really nice feature.
but you when you first buy it, when you're first playing the game, you only have access to level 1. You have to kill like 10 does who have been attracted by your call in order to upgrade your perk so that you get access to the level 2 collar. And then yeah, and then you can start calling the young bucks to you, and then when you kill so many of them, you get access to the level 3 of the collar.
That sounds kind of tedious.
Yeah, there's a couple of things like that that's tedious. And the fact that to level up your prone walking, you have to go like the 30 meters, 300 meters, something like that, as prone, the slowest movement.
So there's one thing you're probably not going to use.
Yeah, it's like it's either if you use it naturally, it's going to take you forever to unlock, or you could just like literally spend a day, set a waypoint on the map that's 300 meters out, and just set your character to prone and auto walk towards the marker, and then like walk away from your computer for like an hour.
That pretty much sounds like what I would do.
Yeah.
I mean, that just doesn't sound like, yeah, that don't sound fun.
Yeah.
But um, either way, yeah, we'll see what they do. It's only a month out. They still got a lot of
Yeah.
stuff they could change.
And I obviously haven't played Way of the Hunters multiplayer. I haven't really even heard much of people playing it. About the only thing is like only the person who does the kill shot gets to harvest the buck. So
That's a
like
nice game.
if you and like your two friends are all hunting and you shoot at the same deer, it's whoever hit the vital organ that actually took down the deer who gets to harvest it.
Oh. No, no, because there's times where, I mean, we could harvest it in Call of the Wild, but whoever got the best shot gets enough money out of it.
Anyway, that's about all I got on Way of the Hunter, and I've been playing it. I've been enjoying its relaxing stature and stuff compared to the other games I've been playing that have just been kind of like grinding me to the bone. So as much as I complain about the like waiting and stuff, it's kind of nice to just like have a game that is like not trying to rush you to do shit.
Yeah.
So I imagine I'll keep playing. I'm not like a hardcore hunter or a sim guy, so it's just kind of I'll play it until I'm tired of it, and then I'll play something else. But for now, it's really good. I like a lot of the realism and how far they go into it. Call of the Wild has a similar realism, and like you said, it's been around for 6 years now, so it's got a lot more content to it. Both are good. I know for sure Way of the Hunter is on every console and PC. Is Call of the Wild on console?
Yeah, it is on. It's on everything but Switch, I believe.
Yeah. I mean, Switch doesn't get those kinds of games.
Believe it or not, I think Way of the Hunter is actually on Switch.
If you want to play Way of the Hunter or Call of the Wild in a Switch-like atmosphere, then get yourself a Steam Deck.
That's I'm not going there. That's another topic. I don't know why I bought a Switch.
So yeah. Take your pick. Both are good games. Well, with that said, thank you all for listening. We're available wherever podcasts are, like iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, a bunch of others. If you'd like to be a donator, you could follow us on Patreon. Our current tier, you get access to the unedited versions of the gaming podcast. And because when I put it on Spotify, I trim it down to about an hour. So with Patreon, you get all the extra bits of dialogue, including this fishing part, which I'll probably cut for the Spotify version. If you'd like to follow us on social media, we have a Twitter at toomanygames2. If you'd like to send us an email, we're at toomanygamespodcast@gmail.com. Thank you for joining me, Adam.
I'll be here next week.
And yeah, I mean, we might get Josh back. I know Damon's excited to come back. I don't know.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Josh always does the like, nah, it ain't my bag. And then we're in the middle of recording. He's like, why didn't you guys invite me?
Oh, is that what happened this time?
Yeah.
Okay.
So join us next time. Good night.
Bye.